Hi, my name's Wren. I'm 22, and confession, I hypnotized my boyfriend to get him a better body. But I didn't know he was going to turn into a meathead whose muscles grew muscles. Matthew and I had been living together for 3 months already, and everything was going great. Our lives fit perfectly together. Matthew was the most approachable guy you could imagine, like a big teddy bear. And I was growing to love him more and more every day. He was a kindergarten teacher, and all the kids loved him too. But then he changed, and it was kind of all my fault. It started when I threw out his old hoodie sweatshirt, and I bought him a new one. You should have seen this old sweatshirt. It was spotted with various stains from bleach to mustard, and I hated it when he wore it in public. I decided I would get him the nicest hoodie I could find. And I surprised him one afternoon. He thought I was joking at first, but when I said I was serious, the mood changed. "Where's my old one?" he asked. When I said that I threw it out, he got upset and said he didn't want me to touch his stuff or try to change him. I wasn't trying to change him, just get him a new sweatshirt. But ever since then, I had to be really careful of asking Matthew to change anything, which is why I had to resort to hypnosis to convince him to grow some muscles. I did it because he wouldn't work out, and I wanted to be in the best shape for my friend Kimmy's wedding. I was maid of honor, and most of our high school class, including my ex-boyfriend, was going to be there. Matthew had put on a few pounds over the last couple years, but he would accuse me of trying to change him if I suggested he go for a jog. So I didn't say anything, and I tried to focus on myself. I rocked a diet and worked out more. I thought if Matthew saw me practicing good health, he'd join me, but he didn't. And I worried that Matthew was going to embarrass me. I didn't know what to do. Until I heard about this website that promised to get your boyfriend or girlfriend to do anything. I read all these testimonials of all these anonymous people talking about how they hypnotize their partners to change their habits, change their attitudes, and yes, even change their bodies. I never thought about hypnotizing Matthew before, but the website said it was actually simple. You merely play recordings at a low decibel while the patient is asleep, and over some time, they will accept the instructions subconsciously. I didn't even believe it, but they offered one free recording for a trial. After that, you had to buy a subscription. And if you wanted something custom, it was even pricier. I looked through the catalog, and I spotted a video that seemed pretty harmless. Whoever listened to the track would wake up the next day and scream, "Ollie, ollie, oxen free," every time he heard the words, "Good morning." I was curious as to whether it would work or not, and I decided to give it a whirl. I downloaded the low decibel video and planned to play it at night. I wore earplugs, so I didn't accidentally hypnotize myself and gave it a whirl. The next morning, I couldn't wait to test it. When Matthew got up, I said, "Good morning," and like a hiccup, he yodeled, "Ollie, ollie, oxen free." I thought it was hilarious, but Matthew was bewildered. He thought he was experiencing some sort of breakdown. I couldn't imagine what his students would do if he started yodeling in class. So I repeated the instructed words and snapped him out of it before he left the house that day. But over the next few weeks, I played a new audio hypnosis tape called Buff Boyfriend and let the hypnosis tape work its magic. One morning, I found him looking around for his jogging shoes before dawn. After jogging for a few weeks, he went to the gym to apply for a membership. Before long, Matthew was a fitness junkie, and he wanted to work out all the time. It was so sudden that it seemed as though his body was changing right in front of me. His belly flab turned into a six-pack, and his pecs started to form. Soon, his muscles were bulging, and he was turning into a new man completely. And not just his body. His personality had started to harden as well. When we first fell in love, Matthew was a big softie, but now he was getting cocky and a little cold-hearted. On one hand, I was thrilled because of how good he looked, and I couldn't wait to show him off. But on the other hand, he was turning into a bit of a bore. He was constantly going on about how people need to toughen up, and he was turning his kindergarten class into a boot camp. I thought I'd take a break from the hypnosis, but it didn't seem to work. Matthew was working out more and growing muscles on muscles. I even heard him repeating phrases from the recording in the shower. "I'm a confident muscle man," he kept saying, and when I looked closer at the recording, it said that you should only play it for extreme muscle growth, which was now sprouting all over his body. He could barely move his neck, he was so muscled up, and he started to look like some kind of comic book monster instead of my boyfriend. Add on to that his cocky new confidence, and I felt like Matthew was going to embarrass me in a whole new way. It was one big omelet I couldn't figure out how to unscramble, and just as I was telling myself that it couldn't get worse, it did. Matthew became critical, and he was now trying to change me. He called me a couch potato and even said I had flab on my arms that he could help me cut in just weeks. But I didn't want to hear him talk about my flabby arms or tell me what to do. I was kind of getting a taste of my own medicine, and it was pretty bitter. I missed Matthew and how we used to be so perfectly imperfect together. Now I felt like I was living with a drill sergeant. We were only a couple months away from Kimmy's wedding, and I figured my best course of action was to have a custom hypnosis made that could get Matthew just right. I felt like Goldilocks a little bit, but I couldn't have Matthew flexing his way around the wedding, embarrassing me. I consulted with the website's customer service, and they spun a low decibel message to get Matthew in perfect shape. But when they sent the recording, they accidentally sent the wrong custom. Apparently, some guy from somewhere else was playing a prank on his brother, and they hypnotized a bell to trigger him to bark like a dog. Well, the next day at school, as soon as the first period bell rang, Matthew started barking at the class. He scared half of them away, horrified mothers everywhere, and nearly got fired. Somebody at the school recorded him barking, and when Matthew saw the video, he thought he was going crazy. I learned later that Matthew couldn't sleep. And that night, he saw me setting up the recording and putting in my earplugs. When he saw the hypnosis recording, he figured out why he hadn't felt himself lately. He started acting strange after that, but I just thought he was frazzled from what happened at work. The wedding day was getting closer, and still, Matthew was all muscled up. Meanwhile, I was feeling a little foggy myself, and I couldn't seem to concentrate as well. When the big day arrived, Matthew could barely fit into his suit, and I was feeling a strain between us. I didn't want us to bicker in front of anybody, so I just kept my complaints to myself. The ceremony was beautiful, and Kimmy was breathtaking, but then I got this weird compulsion. Just as the preacher said, "You may kiss the bride," I started barking at everyone. I caught myself and stopped, but then my old boyfriend started cracking up. And then everybody was laughing, and I ran out of the church. I sat in my car, afraid to step foot in the reception. In addition to being totally embarrassed, I was fuming mad at Matthew for his little prank. He found me in the car later and was grinning like a Cheshire cat. "What are you smiling about?" I asked, and he just laughed, which made me angrier. "What's the matter?" he said. "You can't take a joke?" I didn't think it was funny, and when I explained how humiliated I was, he just shrugged and said, "What's good for the goose is good for the gander." I guess in the midst of my humiliation, I forgot that I had done the very same thing to Matthew for months. And worse, now he was this crazy muscle maniac, and I missed my teddy bear boyfriend. I had to come clean. If I didn't learn my lesson then, I wasn't going to ever. And I told Matthew the truth about his muscle growth. I admitted to hypnotizing him and trying to change him. It wasn't until it happened to me that I realized how messed up it was to scramble somebody's head in their sleep. Matthew and I made an agreement to let each other be ourselves. Matthew still works out, but his muscles aren't growing their own muscles these days. If there's one important lesson I've learned, it's the simple maxim: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sometimes relationships take work and people need to compromise. But trying to change others doesn't tend to go over very well. So, if you've got a hankering to make a change, it's best to focus on yourself. Have you ever tried to change somebody? Tell us about it in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden wisdom stories. Remember, when you share our stories, you're sharing wisdom.